Okay, I guess I'm up. My name is Robert Price, and I met Priya Ray of DIYabled over 30 years ago in Miami, Florida. We formed the band Creamy Electric Santa, became part of the weirdo slash punk DIY contingency out there, and have traveled all over the country. When she sustained her spinal injury in 1999, I've seen her go from a spunky 20 something underground musician and photographer to an unstoppable force of nature. She barely paused or succumbed to self deprecating pity. Instead, she doubled down, channeled everything into an inspiring and motivating mindset, not only for herself, but empowering countless others. That drive led to the creation of DIYabled, nonprofit dedicated to supporting and uplifting people with disabilities, especially creative folks who refuse to be boxed in. If you're interested in getting involved, Priya is always looking for passionate volunteers to help amplify the mission and expand the reach. Check out. Do you hear me?
Hmm.
Okay, good. I'm sorry. I see your hand up, and I thought, oh man,
Oh,
maybe I'm
sorry.
not even being heard. Um, Looking for passionate volunteers to help amplify the mission and expand the reach. Check out DIYable.com for more information to contact, contribute, and volunteer. And now, without further ado, the moment you've all been waiting for, the legal disclaimer. DIY Abled is a registered 501c3 nonprofit organization committed to fostering an inclusive, respectful community. Views expressed during this event are those of the individuals and do not reflect DIY Abled directly. We reserve the right to moderate or remove content or participants to maintain a safe, respectful environment. By attending, you agree to these terms. Now, if that wasn't exciting enough for y'all, I present to you the cerebral expectant masses, the rules of engagement. This is a family friendly event. Please keep that in mind in all interactions. Be respectful to one another. No hate speech or harmful language. Speak from your own experience. Make space for multiple voices. Participants are responsible for their own comments and conduct. Now I'll shut up and go in my corner. Everyone here is Priya Ray. Hello, Priya. You there?
I have to, I have to unmute myself. Oops, sorry. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you for that such a nice introduction, Robert. Um, so as Robert told you, I'm from DIY Abled. I want to thank everyone for coming. I was looking at the chat, and it was so great to see people from all over the country here. It's so exciting. I'm really glad you're here. It's been a crazy week. Helen back reached out to me when she found my virtual protest, and I was like gonna just do it with 16 people had signed up. I was like, oh yeah, it'll just be a nice little intimate gathering. But then it turned into a not an intimate gathering, so I had to quickly shifted into actual event, and we did so good, all of us together. We did a great job, so I thank Helen for really connecting me with this community. um this is a space that's rooted in art, resistance, and community. You do not have to be artist, and you do not have to be disabled, but this is a disabled led event, which means disabled people are not only included, but we are centered in this conversation. So, I'm going to share this. I'm going to, I have to share, the slide. How do I do that? What am I, oh, no, I don't want to. Okay, let me go. Let me
Oh,
stop the
Priya,
share.
somebody said that it's very hard to hear you.
Oh, all right, hold on. I actually just learned how to fix this yesterday. How did I do that? How did I do it? I don't know. Hold on one second. Oh, I know. I think I know. There I go. Blah, 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 blah. What's going on? Oh, you know why? I think it's because I can't figure out how to stop sharing the music. Um, let me see. Oh, God, I don't know. Let me see if I can. Sorry, y'all. I will.
Thank you.
Tell me, is that better? Is that
Somebody
better?
wrote the audio was fine. I hear it's okay.
Okay.
Um, it
All
seems
right.
fine.
All right, cool. Well, then I'm going to continue. So, basically, Alice Wong, who is a disability activist, recently passed away in 11 uh, November of 2025. And this is an event that would align with her. So we respectfully do this event in her honor. Um, this is just something she would be very happy with. So I'm going to talk about access notes. There's captions available, so each individual turns on their own captions. Just a caption thing should show up, or you could, I don't know how to tell you to find it, but there are captions available. We couldn't get ASL. I'm sorry about that. But this is a good way to tell you if you can donate to DIYabled. You can do it through DIYabled.com. And it helps. We are trying to raise money for the Accessibility Fund, and that will help that. Someone has raised their hand, but I'm going to talk first, and then we'll let you in for that. So we're doing that. But I want everyone to feel free to come and go as they want. Turn the cameras on and off, and rest when you need it. And Robert had already mentioned this before, but I'm going to say it again. The community agreements are respect each other, no hate speech, speak from your own experience, and make space for multiple voices. So today, we'll be moving through history, what's happening now, and also imagine new ways of living through conversation and art. So we're going to start our first. I had all this worked out, but let me see if I can figure out.
Captions are on.
Captions are on, Priya.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Thanks. Hold on, let me figure out how to share because I had all these slides set up to share and now I can't find them, so sorry about that, y'all. Just get it there. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, I can't figure it out. I'm sorry, y'all. Anyway, I had some nice slides to set up. But person has raised their hand. Do you have a question? Can you write it in the chat or you don't this isn't the talking part, so please return when we're taking talk when we're having speakers. So we're going to move through history and through conversation and art. So the first part is disability and resistance. I want to start by grounding us in disability history. When history is unknown or not shared, we do not understand its value. This is why I think it is most important to I'm sorry. I'm just seeing if Vicky is here because I was like, oh, Vicky needs to be in this part, but I don't know if she's here
I
yet.
have not seen her yet.
Okay, so she might be late or may not come, but that's okay. So disability history as resilience. This is why I think disability history is so important. I'm going to start with the section 504 and the 504 sit-in. This is a great story about civil rights history that very few people have heard. Cripstory is a documentary series that I made of short documentaries when I started realizing how little people knew about disability history. And I thought people should know about this. So I made these short documentaries with the hope that people would see it and then get interested and go deep dive into disability history themselves. So one of the documentary short docs I made is one about the 504 sit-in. So I'm going to show them now, show that to you now. So if you don't know about the Section 504 or the Section 504 sit-in, I hope you enjoy this. And I will find that. Oh, yeah.
Welcome to DIYabled's Cripstory, where you can learn about disabled people throughout time. Today, we are going to talk about an event that took place in 1977. It was one of the most important events to happen in American history. Unfortunately, because it has to do with disability history, very few people know about it, the 504 sit-in. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 helped pave the way for the ADA, the American Disabilities Act. Under the law, no program receiving federal funds could discriminate against disabled people. When Jimmy Carter took office in 1977, the disability rights community had felt that they had waited long enough, and they wanted Jimmy Carter to sign and implement the regulations immediately. Joseph Califano, who was Carter's new HEW, Health, Education, and Welfare Secretary, had appointed a task force to review the regulations. But the task force lacked disabled representation, and the disabled community was afraid that the regulations would be watered down. The American Coalition of Citizens with Disability demanded that the regulations be signed unchanged, and if they were not signed by April 5th, they would take action. As the date approaches closer and Califano did not respond, hundreds of disabled people and their supporters sat in the HEW offices in cities all over the country. Most of them only lasted 1 or 2 days, but the one in San Francisco lasted nearly a month. On the first day of the protest, the HEW officials did not take them seriously and treated them as if they were children on a field trip. But it was very soon they realized these protesters would not be pacified and would occupy that building until they got what they wanted. They had allies outside the HEW building: the Black Panther Party, Buttercup Restaurant, Brick Hut Lesbian Cooperative in Berkeley, and the Glide Memorial Church provided food. Neighborhood pharmacists helped with medicines, and Channel 7 journalist Evan White commits to telling the protest stories. While a day-to-day experience of a month-long sit-in would be grueling for any person, it posed particular challenges to disabled demonstrators. Some of the San Francisco activists truly risked their lives to do this. Disabled people need medicines, personal care attendants, and more to be able to live. On April 28, 1977, Califano finally signed the 504 regulations unchanged. And while the disabled community had to wait until 1990 for the American Disabilities Act to pass for more protections against discrimination, the 504 was the first victory for disabled people in obtaining civil rights. It is also the longest sit-in in American history. As a disabled person, I am so grateful for the work these people have done. If you are an educator, parent, or ally, please share this very important event in American history. Until this very important event makes it into our history books, the history of disability justice, just like disabled people, will remain forever forgotten.
Okay, I'm having trouble figuring out how to get images and stuff shared, but we're all here together, so I'm just gonna do that. But a lot of people, let's just figure out how to get captions on because I think some people are trying to figure that out.
They
For
are
me,
on.
for for me, this is how I do it. There's these three dots to the right on a laptop and it says more. And then when you click that, it has different things you can do. And show captions is on in the top row in the middle. I don't know if that's how everybody's computer looks because everyone's stuff looks different.
Yeah, I
So,
think they are on already.
Yeah.
I clicked the thing,
okay.
it just says show chat previews. So everyone
Okay.
should see them. If anyone doesn't, let us know in the chat.
And I'm actually going to turn my captions on so I know they're working. Okay. So yeah, that was sorry, I lost track of my brain there. Um, so yeah, that was the 504 sit-in, and I just want to remind everyone that everything we're talking about today comes from disabled people refusing to be included, and the Section 504 sit-in is a great example of that. So the ADA and Section 504 were designed to make sure disabled people can fully participate in our communities and societies. Right now, these laws are being erased and weakened. And when that happens, access doesn't disappear all at once, it disappears little by little. Examples include the cuts that are being made to the Department of Education and Medicaid. Cuts to Medicaid are threatening things like home health care and the disabled community. This is a lifeline for them to be live independently within our communities. And losing this can help. Losing supports like this are threatens disabled people from being removed from our communities and being institutionalized, which is what we don't want. Um, so, oh yeah, sorry. Um, so I'm gonna go into the next section. I was hoping Vicky, my friend, who is a lawyer who went to law school, who used a lot of Section 504 to get through law school, um, um, she couldn't be here. I don't know, maybe she's sick or something, but that's okay. But anyway, she isn't here, so I'm going to just talk about this myself, which is what I was going to do anyway. So cuts to the Department of Education. When you hear that happening, it doesn't mean they're going to shut down schools, but this is what one of the things the Department of Education does. It gives resources to public schools. And I want to remind everyone that Section 504 was passed in 1977, and that was a law that said that any institution that gets money from the federal government, so public schools, public transportation, anything public that gets federal funding cannot discriminate against disabled people. And that was like a precursor to the ADA, which became a federal law. So when you hear cuts to the Department of Education, what that means is they're going to take resources away and it will be harder for disabled students to get their accommodations and fight against the discrimination. That is why I want to focus our attention onto what's happening now. Um, there's a case called Texas v. Kennedy. And what this case is 9 states, Texas, Alaska, Florida, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Montana, and South Dakota are bringing a case, and what they want to do is they want to back up the regulations that they have to follow for Section 504. So this is something we do not want because not only will it affect the education that disabled children are getting, but it will also affect healthcare access, and it will also affect housing. So Section 504, I feel it's mostly in education where they're doing it, but it can go all across the board. So these are things you do not want to happen. So unfortunately, Vicky wasn't here because I really wanted her to. She's a
She
lawyer.
is. She
Oh,
is
she
here
is?
now. If it's
Yay,
this right,
Vicky.
Vicky
Okay.
Young, then she's here.
Yay, Vicky. Vicky, give the legal information about Texas versus Kennedy. Is she here? I think oh, yeah. Well,
She's
Vicky's gonna.
unmuted.
Okay. Yeah, she'll come in a second. So yeah, I'll just talk until Vicky's ready. Um, yeah, so basically this law is so important. It is a lifeline to disabled people getting their rights. I've had to use it myself. My management constantly tells me, oh, God, what was one thing?
Department management.
Yeah, the apartment management. I'm sorry. I've had to do so many 504 letters to my apartment manager. I can't even remember how many. But I'm trying to think. One, which I'm really battling, is HUD has
My
decided, and there's,
microphone. There we go.
are you ready? Are you
There
ready?
she is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my
Go,
my
Vicky.
microphone wasn't working. I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's okay. I
Well,
was
just
just,
finish your sentence, Priya. What you were going to say about
oh yeah.
504?
Well, so I'll just tell my experience of 504, and then I'm gonna hand it over to Vicky to legally explain what's happening with Texas versus Kennedy. So basically, HUD, which is, I forget what it stands for, but it's a federal institution that gives money. I live in fixed income living housing. They give money to places like this, federal money. So they have to follow Section 504 rules legally because they get federal money. So basically, they came in and said, your bed needs to be 36 inches from the wall. But then that's 3 feet. So then on the other side of the bed, I can't get to my clothes because my wheelchair won't fit in between the end of the bed and the shelf. So I've written 3 letters. They've come in and take pictures. They've seen that I can't get into that area, but they still are denying me. I still have to write them a letter, but I just decided I'm going to wait till after this and then I'll go write them a letter. So basically, I have been rejected 3 times for Section 504 to not have my bed 36 inches from the window because it's a safety violation through HUD. So my next step will be I'll go, if they deny me again, I'm going to go to HUD, and then HUD will be involved and come in and so my Section 504 rights actually overrides HUD rules because my rights, my disability rights, if they're getting money from the federal government, they cannot discriminate against disabled people. Okay, Vicky, I'm going to hand the mic over to you.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Texas versus Kennedy, which was formerly Texas versus Becerra, if you've seen it under that name, but it is basically a cross section. The case in summary is basically a cross section of gender identity and disability rights. So, what the states are asking for is to overturn a rule that the federal government has instituted, trying to expand the definition of disability. So, under the ADA, a person is disabled if they meet one of 3 criteria. The first being they have a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. Number 2, has a history or record of such impairment. Or number 3, is perceived by others as having such an impairment. If you fall in any of those 3 categories, you're protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Section 504 typically falls in line with the definition of disability, but is a little bit more expansive than the ADA. But it basically prevents you from being discriminated against if you receive federal funding. So in 2004, the 2024, not 2004, 2024, the Department of Health and Human Services decided that they wanted to expand the definition of disability. And so in their cute little regulation, it's a notice of proposed rulemaking. So it's not an immediate change to the rule. It's kind of just like a, hey, we're gonna change this, but and see, what we can do. And so they decided to change and amend the definition of disability to include gender identity disorders not resulting from physical impairment. So this is a proposed rule that allows folks experiencing gender dysphoria to qualify as disabled under Section 504. And that would allow them to receive accommodations under 504, both in school. If you need them, you can use it in your 504 plan. You can also use them in accommodations from organizations that are receiving federal funding. Accommodations for gender dysphoria will vary based on person to person. But if this rule is published in the CFR on using this definition, then gender dysphoria would be considered a disability. And we're not going to comment on how we feel about gender dysphoria. I'm just going to talk about the legal arguments here. So then January 20th, so the whole lawsuit is these states are saying gender dysphoria is not a disability under the ADA or under Section 504. So basically what their email says is that the previous administration, so this is from the states, from the Texas Attorney General, he, in a nice little letter, wrote out his thoughts, and all of the other states in this lawsuit have signed on to this memo. So says that the previous administration, so the Biden administration, amended the CFR implementing Section 504 to include gender dysphoria and similar mental disorders that they don't define what that means, to get those under the scope of the definition of disability. So then they go on to say that distress or perceived incongruence between an individual's sex and their experienced or expressed gender do not constitute physical impairments as covered by the statute. So their argument is that, yes, you can experience these things, and the plaintiffs are not arguing that these things don't exist so much as their argument is that it doesn't rise to a disability. Keep those three ADA prongs in mind because they're very similar to Section 504. And you can run through the analysis in your head if you want. But they're kind of just arguing that, yes, these emotional and mental symptoms are present. They just don't arise to disability. Because looking back at our disability definition, their main argument is using the prong from the ADA that you have an impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. So their argument is that the distress, the perceived incongruence between one's biological sex and one's gender identity are different. They're arguing that that mental state is not an impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. So major life activities can be like walking, hearing, seeing, working, things like that. They're saying that the plaintiffs in this case are saying that experiencing gender dysphoria doesn't affect your ability to feed yourself or do house chores, maintain a job, go to school, things of that nature. That's kind of their biggest argument. And kind of going on, they talk about that Congress made the ADA definition broad enough to protect people with genuine physical impairments, but went as far to not include transvesticism, transsexualism, pedophilia, exhibitionism, voyeurism, gender dysphoria, or gender identity disorders not resulting from physical impairments or other sexual behavior disorders. 42 USC 12211, if you're curious, in the Ohio Code. And they further argue that Section 504's definition of disability also is prohibited by the ADA and likewise through Section 504 because Congress legislative intent was to exclude these things. And we also have to remember 1980s, 70s, 60s, 80s, we're not in a great place where this is a common topic. We weren't really talking about gender identity and gender dysphoria publicly when 504 was taken into place, when the ADA was passed. It is more of, I would say, like a new hot topic within the last couple of years. even though it's been going on, it's just become more publicly known over the last couple of years. And so the plaintiffs in this case are saying that, hey, Congress, if we look at the meaning and the legislative intent behind the ADA definition of disability, you guys, this is already done. Like, Congress said, no, we're not doing this. Congress said the gender identity disorders, whatever they define that as, because they don't define it in any of their arguments. They really don't define what a gender identity disorder is. But they're saying, hey, Congress already excluded them. You can't proceed to implement this rule that classifies gender identity disorders as a disability because Congress's intent was not to do that. So then the plaintiffs go on to argue that this 2024 final rule doesn't merely redefine disability, and it doesn't like clarify what a disability is. It extends the state's scope to create a new set of gender-related conditions. And argues, so this is the plaintiff talking about the proposed rule. They said that the phrase gender identity disorder in 1990, that phrase gender identity disorder referred to a person's identification with a different gender without clinically significant distress or impairment, and therefore is not a disability. That is what they're relying on. The plaintiffs are relying on something Congress said in 1990. When again, we weren't having a conversation about this. It was very hush-hush. If you were experiencing gender dysphoria or questioning your gender, like that was not really like public knowledge. It was kind of a hush-hush, don't advertise, just go over here. So they're really, really harping on something from 1990. And also looking at Congress, so with the DSM, which Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, that is the diagnostic criteria for a variety of mental illnesses and mental health disabilities. They had gender dysphoria in there. They don't have it in there. It's been a hot journey of the LGBTQ plus being diagnosed with various mental illnesses to explain them being gay or trans. But at the same time, again, the plaintiffs are arguing, well, in 1990, Congress didn't update their rule because the DSM updated their diagnostic criteria for gender dysphoria, but Congress didn't follow suit. So the plaintiffs are arguing, well, if Congress really wanted to include gender identity disorders as a disability, they would have done this when it changed. Now, we all know Congress doesn't move at the same speed that, maybe the scientific world moves. So it's very reasonable that immediately that DSM, I don't think anybody's like reading the DSM for fun. If you are, good. But most people aren't. Congress probably isn't. So they might not have even known that this change had been made, and they're like, oh, let's incorporate that. So the plaintiffs are still harping on Congress's lack of action, that they didn't update their definition of disability then when the DSM updated. And so then the plaintiff goes on saying that, well, if gender dysphoria, which is, those who don't know, gender dysphoria is the feeling when you view yourself as different than what your identity is. So Specifically, I identify as non-binary. So for me, I look at my mirror and I see a feminine presenting person, and that's not congruent with how I view myself. So that's just an example of what gender dysphoria is if you didn't know what it was. So the plaintiffs have decided that if gender dysphoria exists, which they kind of are on the fence about in this memo, they argue that if it is a thing, that it's a subset of a gender identity disorder, and that gender dysphoria can't be a subset of something and its own diagnosis criteria at the same time. So they're then arguing that, well, if it's going to be a subset of something, it can't be by yourself. So they're trying to find every way possible to invalidate gender dysphoria by trying to strip away its protections and make it fit into this 1990 exception that Congress wrote. So as we keep going on, so now we have an argument from our defendants, so the proponents of Section 504, that are saying that gender dysphoria has a physical impairment aspect to it, which is that gender dysphoria correlates with irregularities in the endocrine system that the dysphoric individuals sometimes treat with hormone therapy. Gender dysphoria results from physical conditions, and thus it has a physical impairment side, which falls within the ADA's safe harbor. And so the plaintiffs are like, yeah, we hear that physical impairment, but hey, that's based on subjective self-reported feelings and distress. There's not a physical test to prove gender dysphoria. It's all based on what someone is saying is happening in their head. So that is the crux of the argument, is that even if gender dysphoria is real, then we're only basing it on what the person says they're experiencing. So now we're shifting that on, oh, this person's making it up. And that is exactly where this argument goes, is that, hey, we think you're faking it, unless you don't qualify for as a disability. That is what it ends up being in this argument, is basically, this thing doesn't exist, but if it does, there's no standardized test for it. There's no peer-reviewed studies on it for diagnostic criteria. So that's kind of where we're going. And so they then argue, because Section 504 covers a lot. And so their kind of like consequences of instituting this new rule is arguing that this new language challenges state decisions in a broad range of federally assisted programs, such as education and child welfare. State child welfare agencies could face pressure to elevate the rule's requirements over governing state laws in custody, placement, termination decisions, and it robs states of their authority over child welfare programs, or imposes new compliance burdens, basically saying that the requirement, if this rule were to pass, is that the outcome would be that states would have to accommodate gender dysphoria as a reasonable accommodation. So that's kind of their whole argument. Now, what they're asking the court specifically is they're asking the court three things. So in the legal world, you ask for something, you can ask in the alternative of like, hey, if you're not going to grant point A, can you grant point B? So that is what the plaintiffs decided to do, is they decided to ask for something big, and then like, well, court, if you don't do that, can you do this? And then also, if you can't do this, can you do this for us? So their big ask is to declare the entire Section 504 rule as unlawful, which includes updating the disability definition. So it's not only just, hey, you can't institute a new law defining disability and to include gender identity disorders. It's also kind of attacking the whole like 504 definition of disability, which obviously is going to have so many impacts in school and employment, federally funded programs, people who depend on that definition of disability to receive accommodations and receive access in their places of employment, their schools, etc. So that's kind of their big ask. Their first alternative is to ask HHS, so the organization who wrote the new rule, from enforcing the entire rule. So that's saying, hey, yeah, you can pass that rule. We'll let you pass the rule saying that gender identity is a disability, gender identity disorder is a disability, but we're not going to let you do anything to enforce it. So like you can have the rule, but like no one has to follow it. And then their third, they're like, if you don't want to do that, their third thing is that they are asking the court to stop HHS from telling states they cannot take actions that place people with disabilities at a serious risk of institutionalization. So basically, this is saying that if a state feels an individual presenting with some sort of disability needs to be institutionalized, it should be allowed to do so. That opens a whole other can of worms that we're not going to talk about, because institutionalization is its own whole topic on disability rights. So it's kind of just like, hey, if you can't declare the whole thing unlawful, then let's take away its enforcement power. And if you can't do that, basically let us institutionalize disabled people. And based on the arguments and the case briefs that I've seen from this case, it's going to directly harm folks who fall in that gender identity disorder category, who are going to be the ones at serious risk for institutionalization. That is basically the whole thing in a short nutshell.
Thanks so much, Vicky.
Absolutely.
So, Barbara has told me people have questions. I was going to tell people to share their experiences, but I'm like, oh wait, maybe people have questions.
Okay.
So,
And I'm hoping that I didn't miss you speaking of them because I'm doing all of that. So
It's
Oh.
okay.
okay,
No, I
so
was just like, let
first
Vicky
one was
lead.
the first one was from Jennifer Holland. How is 504 different from ADA?
So the Americans with Disabilities Act, passed in 1990 and enforced in 1992, provides a broad spectrum of accommodations. So requirements in the workforce, requirements in government activities. So this is that building doesn't have a ramp. It's the courthouse in our county. It doesn't have a ramp, so we're going to use the ADA to enforce accessibility on that. Section 504, in contrast, is primarily used in education. Specifically, there's something called a 504 plan, which is an accommodation plan for K through 12 schools. Again, it's basically the same thing as the ADA. Hey, here's a list of things that this student needs to be accommodated and access their education. And the 504 specifically applies to places that receive federal funding. So your public school, if it gets federal funding, 504 applies. If it doesn't receive um, federal funding, that's where the Americans with Disabilities Act comes in. It's kind of it's the catch-all. The ADA is the catch-all. You can enforce it on your employer who doesn't receive federal funding. You can just file, say, hey, I have a disability and these are my accommodations that I need. And so long as certain other criteria are met, your employer would have to accommodate you. So it's kind of the difference.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jenny would like to define clinical distress.
I mean, I would like the plaintiffs to define clinical distress because they did not. They just kind of said it's subjective. So clinical distress allegedly looks different for everybody. There's not a lot of like science there. It's just distress, whatever that looks like, because it's subjective. I wish I had a better answer, but the plaintiffs don't even have a good answer to that question.
Brian F. would like to know, how is this gender talk not in a Title IX context?
Ooh. I would say the reason why is because what they're asking for. So, like what the outcome is. By putting gender identity disorder under a disability context, you can enforce accommodations. And some of the accommodations for that could be using someone's preferred or they're like using their pronouns if they go by they, them, they, she, something like that. Using their preferred name, so no longer using their dead name. Allowing different bathrooms, allowing different dress, like gender affirming dressing. So like if you have a school uniform where girls are required to wear a skirt, you could get an accommodation who that allows someone who appears feminine to wear pants, just like the people who appear to be boys. So I think that's the route that HHS was going, because they want the outcome to be, oh, now we have a legal basis that you have to use somebody's preferred pronouns, use somebody's preferred name, and it gives it slightly more of legal protection. And also there's a whole constitutional law argument that really strengthens where the disability part can work a lot better than Title IX. Sorry, that was a really bad answer, but there's a lot of legal things in place that ironically makes putting gender identity disorders as a disability more advantageous and more likely to be accepted under the ADA and 504 than under Title IX.
Thank you. Those are the questions in the chat. I know that there's a gentleman, Michael Murphy. I don't know if he wanted to ask a question or if he was having a problem. He had his hand raised a couple of times up and down, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, someone has to unmute his mic for him. I do. Can I do it? I'll ask him to unmute. Hey, Michael, did you have a question?
Thank you.
Michael, can you hear us? Oh,
Sorry about that. Yes. Yeah, I was muted as well. Okay, so the thing is, the first thing is that I just was having trouble because I'm calling in on a landline. I couldn't, I could not access the chat to rename my phone number or anything to say it was me. The others, or to access the slide, the video at the beginning. But now I just that was the thing that I was raising my hand for the first time.
okay. Did you have a question for
As
Vicky?
long as talking about this, I was wondering, wouldn't it is there, but it seems as though, I mean, we need to do a complete rewrite of both the ADA and the Rehabilitation Act, like from top to bottom. But yeah, and the thing about it, I mean, gender dysphoria, if you could get it into the Rehabilitation Act section 721 as a quote unquote significant disability, which also lists about like 50 others or something, that would probably be the way to get around this, I think.
Not necessarily, because the reason 504 would probably be the easier route is it's more congruence with the ADA. So I think the ultimate goal is to get gender dysphoria covered under the ADA. And in order to do that, 504 provides kind of the best option for a start.
It's that Section 721 of the Rehabilitation Act is it actually explicitly lists like a whole slew of not just disabilities but also medical conditions by name. Like, okay, I think what I'm really having the most trouble with is, and really, I think what I really would like, all of us to try to work out as a group is, what exactly is a disability in the first place? What I mean by that is, on the one hand, we can say, oh yeah, it's like whatever the ADA says, physical impairment, mental impairment, record as such being regarded as such. Okay. On the other hand, the DSM would, have us do this whole rigmarole of like a disability is defined as a disorder, which is defined as a dysregulation, which is, defined as like a, discontinuity and this and this. I mean, but it's all just one big, exercise in circular reasoning without ever defining anything.
I mean, the ADA probably presents the best definition of it's some type of impairment that substantially limits one or more of your major life activities, which when we think about our own disabilities, that definition likely makes the most sense. Like Priya, her wheelchair and her disability impacts her ability to walk, so she uses a wheelchair. For me, like my disability impairs my ability to walk and stay alive sometimes. So that really substantially limits my major life activities when my body decides, hey, we're gonna die right now. And so even just looking at it from that perspective as not even jumping through hoops, but some kind of impairment or condition that substantially limits at least one major life activity. I think that provides the most expansive definition, and it is the one that the law favors as well. What section of the Rehabilitation Act were you talking about?
I think he got muted, so I'm
I
gonna
think
ask
he did.
him. And then
Okay, that's fine, but the thing is that, it may work. Again, what is substantially limit? What is a major life activity? And also, frankly, from where I'm sitting, the ADA only really works, to the extent that it actually works for anyone, it only works for people who use wheelchairs and really no one else, because it's not designed for anybody else. It's given
the ADA applies to all disabilities.
No, but really, look, I have epilepsy, and I have noticed that, like, by the fact that the Title IV is limited to the 1990 definition, telecommunications regulations, they don't account for anything that has to do with the internet in the slightest.
Mm-hmm. I will say, courts have expanded the telecommunications, have expanded that to include the internet. It's just the difference between this is a statutory law and case law so case law, which is made by judges, can push and redefine things in the statute. So if courts are interpreting that the Telecommunications Act, the telecommunications part of the ADA includes the internet, then that's what we go with, because the courts will be the defining authority on that. Congress, it takes a lot of work for Congress to update laws, regardless of what law you're thinking. Update criminal codes, update disability law, federal law. So Congress doesn't move as fast as the courts do. And the courts are redefining what some of these things mean, and have over the years included different additional disabilities under the definition of ADA. And regarding the fact that the ADA doesn't apply to anybody who's not a mobility aid user, I will say public perception will change your experience with ADA accommodations. Obviously, everybody kind of knows, oh, you're a wheelchair user, you need a ramp, like logic. It's not in the common sphere of what accommodations look like for other disabilities, especially invisible disabilities. The ADA is there for you and can protect you and provide accommodations. However, when you have an invisible disability, such as epilepsy, mental health disorders, your fight is going to be different, because you have to prove that you are disabled, but you're not too disabled that you can't hold the job. So that is kind of the unfortunate side of having an invisible disability compared to visible mobility aids.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Michael. I'm gonna go on to Renee because she has her hand raised.
Oh, I just was curious, because I understand everything you're saying, kind of, but was there any discussion in your community about whether or not gender dysphoria should be seen as a disability? Like maybe some people don't like to see themselves that way.
I will say, like, reading some of the supporting briefs on both sides of the aisle, there wasn't a whole lot of like intelligent discussion on whether gender dysphoria itself is a disability or is something that requires accommodations, solely because one side is kind of arguing, hey, this doesn't even exist, and the other side's arguing like, yo, this does exist. And it wasn't, the arguments that I read were more so, well, if this exists, it fits under an exclusion that Congress's legislative intent already covered. It's like, that's not helping the gender dysphoria argument. And then there is also, coming from the LGBTQ plus community, the argument of like, well, if you experience gender dysphoria, you may also identify as trans. And there's a lot of feeling about being trans and being told that you have a mental illness. And because of your mental illness,
Exactly.
you are experiencing this feeling related to your gender. And so their briefs are not very much a intersectional like argument. These arguments were not written by folks who are well versed in the LGBTQ plus community or even are trans themselves. So it's very much a bunch of cisgender white men talking about things they don't experience. And so they didn't really have great nuance with the LGBTQ plus equals mental illness state.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know. Are there
Yep.
any questions? Is Kim here yet? I don't know. There's silence. Okay. I guess that's a no. Um,
Kim is here. I see her in the chat.
Ah, there we go. It wouldn't allow me to unmute myself.
well, you
I
know,
am here.
we had to take control of the meeting. So, y'all, this is my friend and local. Oh, sorry, my brain is blah blah blah. This is my friend and my city councilwoman for where I live. Her name is Kim Rooney, and she is rides a bike, so accessibility. I love bike riders because I feel like bikers and wheelchair riders have the same problems in Asheville, or everywhere. And so she's a big proponent of this of accessibility, and she also was selected by the New Disabled South as a fellow to push disability justice through the South. So Kim, please speak and tell us what you know or whatever. I don't know.
Sure, sure. Friends, neighbors, and fellow members of the human family. My name is Kim Roney. I use she, her pronouns. I am wearing all black today. I have my shoulder length brown hair pulled back. I'm wearing glasses, and I'm sitting in my music studio and library. Um, I dwell in Asheville on the ancestral land of the Cherokee people. I've lived here in Asheville for 20 years. I'm a music educator, and I've been on the city council in Asheville for the past 5 years. One of the reasons why I serve is because I am compelled to serve our community and make things better. There's so much room for improvement, as Miriam Kaba writes, and we do this till we free us, because change can be so daunting. The good news is there's lots of places to start and infinite ways to collaborate. I started riding the bus 18 years ago, and riding public transit every day is at times a joy and very connecting, at times very humbling. And I will say that when I think about my neighbors riding public transit, I've seen how those sort of public assets and resources are at the intersection of equitable access, economic mobility, and environmental stewardship. And I'm so grateful for the friendship that I have with Priya and the team at DIYabled. Um, because of just the connection that we have as neighbors and friends. It often helps to ground me in understanding, as Priya has reminded me, that all of us in the human family will be disabled at some point in our lives, even if it's for a very narrow window of time. So when we make the world more accessible, it makes the world a better place for everyone. And as our rights are under attack, as access to healthcare and housing is constantly threatened, as the affordability crunch hits all of us in some way, shape, or form, um, it can be a lot to manage every day on top of just like keeping up with the bills and keeping up with your daily routine and with family. So, in this work towards collective liberation, I have a couple of things that I thought I would share today. One is we know that our access to the vote is under threat. And when we were looking at the power of the disability vote, being that 1 in 4 US Americans is estimated to be disabled, which comprises 70 million people as of 2022. So that's the most recent data we have from the CDC on this. We know that our people power is really strong. And yet we also know that it's really becoming harder to access the vote when we have, at least in North Carolina, gerrymandering and politicians trying to choose their seats instead of people choosing their representatives. When we have attacks against things like being able to vote early, the post service rules changing, so it makes it harder to mail in your ballot. It's going to take a lot of work for us to make sure that we have access to fair and free elections. But when it comes down to that first bucket of like the No Kings work and why we're gathering together across the country, I think about each one reach one and not leaving each other behind. So voting is going to be a big part of that moving forward through the year. But also, so much attention gets wrapped up in voting and maybe not enough attention on what we can do every day to care for each other. I have the great privilege of being a survivor of Hurricane Helene here in Western North Carolina and seeing how our neighbors showed up for each other every day. And here in Asheville, we love to study things to goodness gracious, till the cows come home, as they say. We do have a study around, it's called the Close the Gap study. And I'm going to drop the Close the Gaps ADA transition plan here in the chat in case anyone is looking for a way to make your city and community more accessible. You can see how Asheville is trying to do that in regards to greenways and pedestrian walkways. We're finding that as we try to build, whether it's on our state maintained roads or our city maintained roads, power poles in the way of sidewalks, making sure that the curb cuts don't send folks with low and no visibility into the center of the intersection. Just like the simplest things, right? It should be so just straightforward to set the rules and like make the world better and more accessible for everyone. And still somehow we managed to just like fumble the ball over and over and over again. And sometimes it just takes like, wow, wouldn't it be nice if we could just high five each other along the way? And yet we're often in City Hall driven by shame. So the shame of it is that Asheville has the highest bike pedestrian accident ratio in the state of North Carolina. It's not good for business. It's not good for the people who live and work here. It's not good for our visitors. So this Close the Gap plan can be a way to say, here's where we are today. Here's where we need to go. So that people can get to the grocery store and to the doctor's office and get their kids back home safely. We want everyone to get to their destination safely. So it is a constant struggle to get where we need to go, to get to the polls and back home safely. But a third thing that we're working on here in North Carolina, and that I've been working with our Human Relations Commission, is source of income discrimination. So Virginia, a couple of years back, passed source of income discrimination or source of income as a protected status. What does this look like? Well, right now, I spoke with a mom last week, and she has a Section 8 voucher. So she has a subsidy around her income level, where if she signs a lease, the landlord gets paid by the federal government at the first of the month, automatically deposited into their bank account. But here in North Carolina, we allow landlords to choose not to allow someone to sign a lease based on how they pay their rent. Section 8 vouchers, veterans vouchers, child support payment, cash, legal tender. So what will happen is, like this mom that I was talking with, she will fill out application forms for a place to rent over and over and over again, all over town. They take her $50 application fee. They walk her through the process. They check her credit. That dings her credit every time, right? But then when she goes through the whole process and they're like, okay, let's sign the lease. They're like, how would you be paying your rent? She's like, with a voucher. They're like, ooh. And then they'll back away. And so she's been doing this over and over and over again. What the source of income discrimination protection would do is have a part of our non-discrimination ordinance for the city where she could come in and file to help her build a case, but also to help our city build a case so we can track those trends of how people are being discriminated against based on how they pay their rent and prevented from accessing housing. So when we look at that intersectional work for our neighbors who are disabled, we know there's intersections around how disability is experienced based at the intersections of race and class and gender. So in North Carolina, things are so messed up that the state government in Raleigh, the General Assembly, noticed that cities were working on this. I'm the chair of Local Progress North Carolina, and we were starting to push around adding this tool to our non-discrimination ordinance. And so they made a state law that we're not allowed to protect against it. So we're going to have to find another way. Thankfully, we have some really creative community electeds that are representing our community so well. Before marriage equality was the law of the land, our Register of Deeds, Drew Reisinger, noticed that in his office, if someone was eligible for a marriage license, they were approved and it was recorded. If they weren't eligible for a marriage license, they were sent home. There was no record that the discrimination had ever happened. Light bulb goes off. Drew Reisinger says, I can change that on the Register of Deeds. So he sets up a process where if someone wasn't eligible for a marriage license before marriage equality was the law of the land, and he was supposed to send them home, he would record that they had been denied. And then he invited his neighbors to sue him. And it helped to add to the case for marriage equality in the whole country. So what would it look like if the state is currently not allowing us to protect against source of income discrimination, but we allowed the city attorney's office to receive complaints of discrimination and start to help our neighbors build the case for how they're being excluded from access to rentals and leases based on how they pay their rent. Now, I'm here for the long haul. And I know that collective liberation is going to take a long time. Building a better future is going to take a long time. So while we protect the access to the vote so that we can have fair, free elections, while we work on making our city more accessible so everyone gets to their destination safely, let's go ahead and build a long game approach for making sure that people aren't discriminated against when they're accessing housing. So if you have in your community, some elected officials that you feel are ready to do some hard work and get into the nitty gritty, or they're like curious, like, I want to do the right thing by my neighbors, but I'm like up to my eyeballs in city budgets and plans and policies, and they're on the hamster wheel and they're just spinning around. I invite you to encourage your elected officials to reach out to New Disabled South. They have a fellowship program that was very helpful to me, but also to Local Progress. Local Progress is municipal electeds advancing racial and economic justice at the city, county, Board of Education level. I'm the chair for Local Progress North Carolina, but we have chapters all across the country, and we skill share and we have resources that we can work together so the folks in your community don't have to start from scratch. So we can build and coalitions and hopefully a future together that's more accessible and more wonderful and beautiful. And I'm available for questions if y'all have questions.
Does anyone have questions? Okay, yeah. I see lots of emojis, happy emojis, and I don't know, bless you, thank you emojis, and exploding hearts. Oh, Kat Kingsley has a question, and then Heiko, I don't know, I can't see your whole last name, but you can go after Kat Kingsley.
Hey Kim, thanks for talking to us. I was wondering what pushed you or like gave you the final push to run for a government position.
Did you hear her?
Hello?
Did she get?
Oh, I think she's muted.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, she asked what gave you the push to run for government, Kim. I think you're muted right now.
Okay, so evidently I can't unmute myself.
Yeah.
When I tried to unmute myself, it says the host has to unmute you.
Yeah.
Thanks for this question. So, some friends and I started a community radio station, which is how I know my neighbors Robert and Priya in the music and the radio community. We started 103.3 Asheville FM, and in 2009, we were in the back of a coffee shop, and I was like, decisions are being made about us without us. What if we covered local news? And I looked around the organization in the room, and I was like, me. I guess I'll do it. So there was a period of time where I was attending between 12 and 15 civic meetings every month, housing, public safety, urban forestry, multimodal transportation, the transit committee. And I would bring back reports and compile them into what I called the AFM News Hour, the Asheville FM News Hour. And then on December 9th, 2014, I was in City Hall to speak in advocacy of affordable housing. And we were starting to wrestle with the conversation of what does affordable housing mean? We called it workforce housing, and then it was affordable, but people couldn't afford it. It's like, what are we going to call it next? Now we call it deeply affordable or sector-based housing. Like there's so many ways to wrestle with what does affordable housing mean. Y'all, I saw a whole bunch of people that represented for-profit developers and consultants, people who had a time on their hands, I guess. But I was like, no. My neighbors need to know what's going on in this community. And so I asked and I ran and lost. And then in 2020, my friend Nicole Townsend with Southerners on New Ground said, do you want to run together? And we win. And I swear, 7 days after the primary, we were in the 2020 lockdowns with the COVID-19 pandemic. And we had to find a different way to run the election that year. But my neighbors sent me to work for them in City Hall that year. So that's 2020 is the year that I joined City Council. I ran for mayor in 2022 and lost. I ran for election in 24 and won, and I'll be on the ballot in November for mayor again this year. But I think I really just want to have an ecosystem where working, poor, and compassionate people can run even without establishment and big money support. And to be honest, like my friends and neighbors and I knocked 6,000 doors. We have about a population of about 96,000. And it's really scrappy. We make all of our signs out of repurposed and repurposable materials. And we try to make it interesting and fun and joyful on the way, but it's really hard work sometimes.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kim's super grassroots. She makes the people we make or no, I don't, but other people make signs out of repurposed wood, but I think they look really cool. Heiko, do you have a question?
Uh, just a very quick question, and perfect pronouncing my name, by the way. Thank you, Heiko Spadek. Kim, would you mind putting the link to you mentioned New Disabled Self or what you're working on? That'd be awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Heiko Spadek. And what's that? I don't even know what my phone made a weird noise. I don't know what that was. And this is a local person, Raven Kozik, a local disabled person, who's gonna talk about art later. Go ahead, Raven.
Hi, I just had a quick question. So I, as Priya said, am disabled, and it took me over a year to find a place that was affordable and accessible in Asheville, that was specifically wheelchair accessible. And I mean, I'm so grateful to be here, but I have several friends that have had to recently either move out of town or like stay with other people and trying to figure out how to find affordable and accessible housing. Do you know if there are any like local programs or anything for Asheville specifically?
Oh, unmute her.
Oh, thank you. A lot of folks have been asking about this. I know when I'm working with our aging population, I've referred people to AARP and the Council on Aging. I'm not as familiar with resources that are connecting people with housing specifically for people with disabilities, and that's a gap in our community. Just Economics is working on a common rental app. And the connection that we're hoping to make is that when developers access subsidies to build new housing using public tax dollars, that they would have to use the common rental app. How this would help is if we put it all in one place, then instead of someone having to fill out multiple rental applications, like those $50 fees that come over and over and over again, that they would fill out one and it would go to all the available units. Obviously, landlords and management companies that at a large scale, especially when we're talking about private equity firms that are doing price fixing and things like that, they have a vested interest in just taking our money and then not knowing they're not going to sign a lease with us. So here in Asheville, we have a really high cost of living and not enough housing that's truly affordable. I know that this is a big gap, and I'm sorry that it's hitting you on a personal level and so many of our neighbors. But those are some of the tools that we're working on. And definitely joining in the work with Just Economics and the Asheville Area Tenants Network, which is part of the North Carolina Tenants Network. They're doing a lot of really powerful organizing too. So those are the places that I would point folks to so that we can build people power and organize better together.
Thank you.
Yeah, Raven, we should talk later because I'm on the board of Just Economics and I heavily volunteer for the Asheville Area Tenants Union. So thanks, Kim. I think we're going to have to move to the next section, but thank you so much for talking about accessibility and community. It's such an important thing. So yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Of course, when we organize, we win. Let's go get it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, y'all. So what I wanted to do, because everybody was so engaged in the Section 504 part, and I'm so glad because it's actually very important to all of us. So I wanted to share a organization where you can be informed. This is God, it's called Draft, and I always forget what it stands for because I just know it by its whatever initials. But let me look it up. Anyway, they've been around since 1979, and they are a policy and law. God, I had it written down because I can't think of out of my brain, so I'm sorry. Let me just get to that. Yeah. So they are called the Disability Rights and Education and Defense Fund, and they were founded in 1979. They're a leading national civil rights and law policy center, and they are run by disabled people and parents of disabled children. So they are a really great source. This is their website, drefd.org. And then if you want to learn specifically about how to protect Section 504, you can go to their website. They have a petition. They also tell you to, if you live in those 9 states, which will be on the website, so you can go look at that, to call your governors and your state district attorneys and tell them to drop the case. So now we're going to switch over to an art thing. I do a thing called cripping art because ableism is, if you don't know what ableism is, it's a bigotry of ability, and it's really impacts disabled people directly. So I have 3 artists that are part of this that I asked to show their work and talk about how they make art in a world that wasn't really made for them. Francis Bukowski, Britt Nicole, and Raven Nest, or Raven Nest. I call it that. So I'm gonna introduce Francis. Francis is local, is a friend of mine, and we both disabled artists and do a lot of stuff. And so I invited Francis to come here and speak. Thanks, Francis, for coming. And I think we'll have to unmute Francis, but I'll spotlight them until that happens.
There we go.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Priya, for inviting me to talk a little bit about my work. To start, my name is Frances Bukowski. I use they, them pronouns. I am a white person with brown eyes and a brown mullet with short bangs. I'm wearing a blue plaid shirt and a orange tie-dye shirt underneath it. And I'm sitting in a big white room that is my studio that has random prints all over the wall. Um, I'm gonna jump in and share and just talk kind of briefly about my work. I mostly am really excited to be presenting because Priya and I are collaborating on a cripping art workshop April 23rd at 4 p.m.
Somebody is saying that the audio is a bit quiet.
Oh, I'm not sure. I know why that's happening. Let me stop my share for a second and hop into my settings.
Well, you go to the carrot audio thing. Right, and it says test speaker and microphone. And then there's a way
Yeah.
to make your audio higher.
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
Better.
How is that? Is that better?
Much louder.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you. Sorry. I do a lot of Zoom meetings and I'm not sure why my mic settings were different today, but as long as everyone can hear me, that's great. As I was
Yeah, a
saying,
little louder.
okay. Can you hear me now? Maybe if I crouch down a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I was saying, Priya and I are collaborating on a workshop that will be April 23rd at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time about applying for how to build a CV and a portfolio for applying for art applications. As Priya mentioned, I'm an artist. I'm a photographer and illustrator. I live in Marshall, North Carolina. And I'm also a working artist, so I exhibit work frequently and publish work. And what I'm really interested in as a photographer is the intersection between body, place, and identity. And I draw from my own identities as a disabled person, as a neurodivergent person, and as a trans person within my work. And I'm also interested in the experiences of others and how they relate to all between their body, place, and identity. So I figured since we are talking about disability justice, a recent project that I got the chance to work on that was really meaningful to me was documenting community services through First WNC. And I also work in direct support services for adults with developmental disabilities. So this project was kind of the perfect fit for my practice as a photographer. And something that is very important to my photographic practice is not only consent, but empowering people to be seen the way that they want to be seen in their photographs. So it was really just such a joy to collaborate with the folks to show both what they felt was important in their lives and also what about the services that they were receiving felt really important to them. As a documentary photographer, I'll collaborate with nonprofits and with individuals to tell stories like this one for the purpose of either fundraising or raising awareness. Another huge part of my practice is building community through photography. My practice really is about how I can use photography, how we collectively as artists could use photography as a way to build connection to each other and build relationships. And one of the ways this is manifested in my career has been as participating as a co-founder of Kinship Photography Collective. And as it says on the front page of our website, we are making kin with the natural world and each other through the medium of photography. And we are a mostly online platform, meeting every Wednesday, which has been really important for me as a disabled person, creating accessible community and having access to community that doesn't require me to physically go to a place or be in a specific state of mind in order to participate in my community. This is a project that we worked on, Listening to the Land, which is a collaboration between the Blue Ridge Bartram Association and the Bascom Center for the Arts here in Highlands, North Carolina. Just kind of illustrating those connections between body, place, and identity. And this is more work from that project. This last project is more personal work that came out of my own experiences with chronic illness and disability. This project, Upheaval, which I'll provide some links after I'm done sharing so that you can see the entirety of the project. But Upheaval is a project that really focuses on body, place, and identity in the context of Appalachia, chronic illness, and family history. And in this work, I use a lot of self-portraiture as well as combining it with alternative process prints using medical ephemera. So I would take things like those sheets that you get after going to the ER and bandages and prescription medications and test results. And I would use a process called lumen printing, which uses silver darkroom paper and the sun to create a print. And I wove these together with landscapes, self-portraits, and documentary photographs in order to explore this experience of trying to find belonging, but also feeling longing, both in place and in body. I believe that this is my last slide. Yes, it is. So just to kind of talk a little bit more about the workshop that we'll be hosting, we'll be going through how to build a CV and a portfolio as an early career artist, and also breaking down some practices to help keep that that process as low energy as possible. Because if you're an artist applying for things, you know that there is a lot of labor involved in applying for things, and that's not very accessible and is a huge barrier in the arts. So this workshop will be offered by donation to make it accessible to as many folks as possible. And I'm so excited to be teaching this workshop and hope to see you there. I'm going to stop my share, and I'll put some links in the chat just to registration and website and
That
things.
workshop local or virtual?
It's virtual. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, it's virtual. And I was going to talk about it at the end, but if you want to know about it and how to join, you should join my email list or follow me on Instagram or DIYabled on it. Not me, but DIYabled on Instagram. And it will, you'll have ways to access links and stuff to that. So yeah, I'm excited about that workshop. It's going to be awesome. Okay, so I'm going to remove you. So we have two other artists. We have Britt and Raven here. I guess I'll go with Raven because Britt is a photographer and wrote a book too. So I was like thinking, maybe I should have Raven and Britt because we're going to show your photography. But yay! I guess just unmute Raven and I will spotlight them for everyone to see. Raven is a local artist, and I don't know what pronouns you use, Raven, but I'm just gonna call you them. I'm just gonna call you. But I met Raven at a market, and they make so many they're a crocheter, and they make amazing I call them adorable critters. That's what I'm like. These are adorable critters. So yeah, Raven, go ahead. And if you need me to show any of your stuff, I can do that too. So,
Thank you,
but go ahead.
Priya.
Yeah.
I go by she, her. My name is Raven. I'm a local artist in Asheville, and I'm honored to be a friend with Priya. I feel like I didn't prepare as much. I'm so sorry about that. My whole job is making little critters like this one. This is the only one I have right here. I just prepared a few notes, mostly talking about my experience as a disabled artist, how I got into it full time, and how I create things that bring me joy as well as other people. Specifically because I know the country and the world is in such a difficult place right now. It's definitely one of those things where if I watch the news too long, I end up not feeling great. And with my disability and health issues, I'm already not feeling the best. So I like to make things that bring people joy. And that's kind of my whole thing. I'm also working with certain people who run either local pride events or local markets and art events to make sure everything is fully accessible for all. And I know I can't speak for everyone with every disability, but I use a wheelchair. I have several different health conditions, and I can definitely help with a lot of things. And I'm always willing to learn about it. Um, yeah, I mean, it's definitely becoming a full-time artist, especially as somebody with a disability and having to face the challenges that my health brings me on top of how inaccessible certain locations are, can be really tricky. I live in Asheville, just like Priya, and it's an old mountain town. And, one thing old mountain towns are not known for is accessibility. There are like a lot of blocked sidewalks, a lot of historic buildings where they don't legally have to include ramp access or elevator access because of how old the building itself is. There have been plenty of markets where they tell me it's accessible and I show up and it's like up a gravel hill and the bathroom's like across the lot. And I'm like, cool, I gotta go. I'm so sorry. So I love helping my local community with everything. Priya, if you'd like to show some photos of my work, I'd be more than happy to talk about it.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't
Sure.
understand how my computer works as well, so Priya's helping me out here. I make little critters. I mostly like to make local wildlife, but I give them silly little twists. Like this is a cowboy possum. I also make things like clown frogs. I've made pink pony club possums and raccoons and little things. And I like to study entomology and biology in my free time. So I do a lot of research on, like I've done hellbenders before, because of course I have, on like local salamanders and local insects even. And I take these quote unquote unlovable creatures and I try to make them very lovable. I've been doing art full time for about 2.5 years, and I actually am just starting a program with my friends that work at Asheville Phoenix Fire Company, who is a host of local queer pride events. That's actually the host at this event. And we are doing a whole program where we teach artists how to become full time artists, where I speak on my experience as a disabled artist. Um, yeah, that's honestly most of what I had prepared.
That's great. I'm just showing pictures of you, Martha.
Yeah, me at markets, me with my work, me with a bird. I love it. Yeah, I really do love what I do. And I'm very grateful for having the opportunities that I've had to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming, and I'll show your thing. And then, do you want to tell people where they can find, if they want to look at your stuff or get something from you, like where they could find you? I think on Instagram, this name, correct?
I'm mostly on Instagram. I also have an Etsy. It's under the Raven's Nest. I know my name is spelt a little weird, so it's the Rayvens Nest. Yeah, I do a little bit of everything. I'm also on Facebook. I can definitely drop my link tree in the chat for sure.
Yeah, do that for sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Raven. I'm so glad you're
Yeah,
here. Thanks so
I'm so
much.
happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, and then the next artiste is Britt Nicole. I'm gonna move you. Oh, let me remove. I guess remove her. And then, oh, where did Britt go? Britt was there. I can't find. Oh, Britt, just talk, and then I can.
Yes, hi.
Oh, there you are. If you can talk, that is. Okay, let me spotlight you. Okay.
goodness.
Thanks. Hi, Britt.
Hi.
Oh, I love all those.
I'm gonna tell you, I met Britt because last year, around right before Christmas, I was like, "Ah, I have
Yeah,
to sell my things. How am I gonna sell my things?"
the
Because big
virtual holiday
markets,
market.
yeah, virtual hard day. So I was like, I don't want to pay a bunch of money and go to a market that's inaccessible to a wheelchair and get crammed into a bunch of people. So I was like,
Camel.
maybe I'll just post on Instagram, virtual market. And I like didn't, I don't know. I just thought it was going to be like 5 people, but it ended up being like 38 people. And then it just became more, I don't know. My life always seems to be like, oh, I just think this event, I was like 16 people. Oh, wait, 1,000 people. So that's just how my life goes. I'm always like, oh, I got to do this now. Let me do this. So I met Britt through that virtual market. And Britt is a photographer and also has written a book. So Britt, go
Yes.
ahead and talk about all that stuff.
Hi, so my name is Britt Nicole. I am a white cisgender female. I have brown hair, just kind of loose around my face. I'm based in Dayton, Ohio, and it's cold enough here that I needed to break out the winter hat again because, of course, it's spring, but it's not. I have black wire rim glasses. And yeah, so I am a photographer as well as a newly published author based in the Dayton, Ohio area. Um, my experience with disability is I was born with hydrocephalus, which is a brain condition that in turn caused right-sided cerebral palsy, as well as an eye condition called septo-optic dysplasia. I can walk unaided, but I do walk with a limp, and I have had all of my physical disabilities my whole life. And as of like a week or two ago, my therapist officially confirmed that I do have complex PTSD. So that's a new diagnosis too. Um, I I'm just trying to
Adding
think about
people
what to
to the
talk about.
join if they're asking.
What'd you say?
Nothing.
Things are like weirdly echoey on my end.
I think that was my partner. He was saying something to me
Oh,
for
okay,
something.
okay. I was like, I
Created
wasn't
this
sure if people were
reverb and
talking to
everything.
me and I just
No,
wasn't
no,
hearing
he's not.
anything. Okay. Um, but I am a photographer as well as, like I said, I'm a published author as of a month ago. My debut novel is young adult. It's called Gracie, and it is fiction, but Gracie has right-sided cerebral palsy like I do. So even though it's not like a memoir or autobiography or anything, some of her disabled lived experiences are similar or the same as what I have experienced growing up. Um, Priya just shared on the screen the logo that I have up right now. It's not technically official yet, but I think people that I've shown this logo to have given me good feedback. So this is probably going to be my sort of like author logo going forward. It is my name, Britt Nicole, in cursive, like kind of fancy, but still legible, like cursive writing. Below it, it says disabled voices, or disabled stories by disabled voices, because I am a disabled person writing about my disabled experiences. And then I also put the disability pride flag over what's the word? A book like what's the word I'm looking for? A book graphic. Canva is amazing. And I feel like a graphic design god whenever I use
I
it.
think it's a line drawing. That's what I would call it.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I was like graphic words aren't happening. I can write a book, but I can't speak. So
Well, I can speak and I can't write a book, so. So should we show, I picked like, I think 3 photographs, so I thought I'd show
I'm
them.
seeing 4 on my end. So yeah, I just kind of let you pick your favorites.
Yeah, I just was like, this looks good. And this is your background, but
Yes, this is my background. This is I title all of the photographs that I have available as prints in my online shop. This is one of them, and I've called it Give Me Love. And I actually, I just submitted this photo. I don't know if it's been accepted yet, but there is an art museum in Toledo, Ohio, that is wanting to showcase female disabled voices for the month of Disability Pride Month in July. So I have submitted for that exhibition. I don't totally know if I'm in yet, but fingers crossed.
I think you'll get it. Okay, and this one.
This one is called Love and Smoke. I took it in Yellow Springs, Ohio, which is Ohio is like weird, is a weird political state. We were a swing state for a long time. Now we're gerrymandered to hell. Yellow Springs is kind of like a little like progressive oasis in the middle of the rest of the state. But this was taken in Yellow Springs. It is a the main image is of the LGBTQ pride flag with the marijuana leaf over it because it was taken outside of a dispensary, but it's called Love and Smoke. And Ohio lawmakers don't know what they're doing right now. They're like, weed is legal here, but they're like trying to take it away again. I don't know what's happening.
And
But
oh,
yes,
go
this
ahead.
one is Love and Smoke.
And this one.
This one is one of my favorites, probably that I've taken like in general as a photographer. It's called The Sound of Silence. I have this one in color, which is the one that Priya has up here, but I also have it in black and white. It is one of my favorite prints that I think I've ever taken. And I think this one and the Give Me Love peace sign do kind of a good job representing not even just the disability community, but just sort of like two halves of a whole. Like you have this picture, which is a lot more like moody and somber. And then the other one, Give Me Love, the colorful peace sign, which is more full of like hope and peace and like positivity. So I think those two pictures together kind of show the two opposite ends of the spectrum, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
It makes sense. I think it makes sense. And that's all the photographs I had, Britt. Did you want to share other more photographs? Is that
I have, because I wasn't sure if you were going to pull them up or if I was going to. I have some of the other ones that I sent you. We
okay? Yeah,
can.
I forgot. I literally downloaded it during the meeting. I was like, oh my God, I forgot to
Oh, girl, you're
download
good.
and I forgot to download Ravens. Let me do that. Thank goodness Frances shared her own things. So yeah,
I do
but
have
yeah,
more
go ahead.
because some of them, I was in selecting the photos for this, I specifically picked ones that were a little more like political progressive leaning. I even have a picture of a graphic that somebody made for No Kings, which is pretty cool.
Okay,
But I can share the
oh, oh shoot. Do you are you there? Did I do
those if
something?
you want. I
Yeah.
just need to figure out how to
But
share my screen.
yeah, or I can let me see. I can find it. Maybe oh yeah, I can find. Which ones did you want to show? I'm sorry. The American flag is the with the no king. Is that cool?
I think Brit froze.
Oh no. Okay, well, oh well, we'll just
She looks frozen.
she is frozen. Poor thing. Poor Brit. Well, we'll just have to do another art event and feature Brit in the art show. Okay, so right now, like, so things, of course, didn't go on time. As I was like, oh, we're gonna get run early, but of course, I don't even know why I ever think that. But I was just gonna play this song by Galen Lee, who went to in-person protest. She lives in the Minneapolis area, so she went in person, but said I could play her music. So I'm gonna play this video of hers that I love, and I think it's perfect for this
How are you?
event.
We can't hear it.
I can't hear that.
Oh, shoot. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, hold on. Let me pause it. Wonder why you can't hear it. Let me look and go see what's going on. I'm going to stop sharing it. And then I'm going to go in. I wonder why it's not working. I picked a time. Let me know if y'all can. I mean, it is a love song too, so let me see if I can. What's going on?
Oh, Britt's back.
That's cool. Hold on 1 second. All right.
Somebody wrote when you share, you have to click the box that says to share sound also.
Oh, okay. Let me do that. Let me stop share. Oh, what did I do? Oh my God.
And you can't be muted.
Yeah, I'm not muted. Okay. Let me go. Oh yeah, it's the share sound is on. So okay, let me just see if we can get this to work. All right.
There you go.
Breathe. You are alive. Stillness is not the enemy. It's the only balm. It is the spark that wakes you up. Remember who you are. Who are you? Are you what you do? How you perform different acts every hour? Are you burning, brilliant, beautiful? Or are your fires uncontrolled, pulled in every direction? Can you admit you may be tired, exhausted even? Are you your fears, your wants, your needs? Are you the good and the bad words you use to describe yourself? Some of the time, at least. Are you your inconsistencies? Are you afraid to look at yourself? Afraid to remember? We make ourselves up, put ourselves out there as works of art, as entertaining shows for the world to see, to judge, to notice. But you are a work of art, but it's not how you think. It's in your eyes when you laugh, when you smile, when you're angry, when you cry. You can't hide it. It leaks out in flashes across your face. Your soul bursts through in moments of true tenderness, when the empathy just kind of swells up from nowhere, from very deep. You are in there. Divine. Why are we so afraid of it? Why do we try to bury it alive in schedules and important deadlines and hurrying? We have let too much in, crowded ourselves out, forgotten our purpose, forgotten to show up. Pause. Sit with yourself, sit with a neighbor, sit with me, and notice when you are quiet how the divine whispers. Notice all things. Just be in the present for a moment. And remember to breathe, love, for you are alive.
Priya, is it possible for you to share the link to that video? There are quite a few people who would like to share it in the chat.
Okay. I have to find it because I had to download that because YouTube doesn't let,
Beautiful.
they don't let people play. But I can tell you her name and that's actually how I found it. I just typed in Galen Lee into the YouTube and that's how I found it. But that's called Breathe. I think it's called Breathe You Are Alive, but I have to double check the title. But while I'm gonna play another video I have of Galen and while I do that, I'll find the link to her YouTube channel and share it with y'all.
I
But
think
yeah.
it's actually in the chat.
Oh, it is? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Kat Kingsley posted it for us.
Yay, Kat. Thank you so much. Okay, so now I'm going to share another Galen Lee song because it's awesome. So
Oh, so it's that.
When you were lost in the woods, you were misunderstood by everyone, everyone. You were searching for words, but they came out absurd, and no one heard you, no one heard you speak your mind. They lost the time. Where's your heart? Where's your heart today? Forgive yourself, but don't give yourself away. And now you're out on your own, getting farther from home. And everywhere, everywhere you see hurting and strife. People cling to your light, but no one sees you, no one sees you. Keep your why, it's all a lie. Where's your heart? Where's your heart today? Forgive yourself, but don't give yourself away. Away, away. Forgive yourself, but don't give yourself away.
yeah, y'all. So yay, Galen. She couldn't be even here, but she went to a protest in person and I said, good for you. Have fun. Thanks for letting us use your music. So I guess oh, my friend just texted me. I think she's in this meeting. She's like, my friend's in that video. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm sorry, let me get my brain back because my friends are texting me and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. So what I wanted to shift into now is like I wanted to I don't know, do you guys want to have a group talk or something? I thought we could talk about I wanted to do this imagination lab and if people were in charge, if disabled people were in charge, um what would it look like? I always say I think we should build everything, communities, clubs, whatever it is, and with the thought that we should accommodate people that have the least amount of ability and are most chronically ill, because I feel when we build up from that, then we just include almost everyone. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know. I don't want to say everyone because I don't really know, but I do think we'll include more people. So that's my thought. But do y'all want to talk? I feel like if you want to draw, talk about it, whatever, we can open up a discussion and, give everyone about 2 minutes to talk or show or whatever they want to do. Is that something y'all want to do? If so, I actually have a slide I made for it, so let me see if I can find it. Let me look for it first. I'm getting a lot of messages. Oh yeah, let me get rid of that and find. Oh, oh, I see. Because this window's blocking the other window. Okay. So, is this it? Oh yeah, cool. I guessed and I picked the right one. Yay for me. All right, so this is what the slide that Helen helped me make, by the way. So I just do want to give. But this is what this section's about. So if anybody wants to, these are just suggestions, but we can talk about any any corner of the world
Priya,
that
people want you to talk about Palestine.
about what?
Palestine.
I don't oh, I don't know. I don't I don't know what to say about that side. I'm here to talk about
I don't think
disability.
that really has to do with disability.
Yes, although, people are being disabled there, but you
Exactly.
know, but that's all I can say about that. So anyway, I I've included air travel in this list because this woman, Emily Ladau, who is wrote a book called Demystifying Disability, got a speaking gig in Wisconsin, and her wheelchair was dumped, like fell off the conveyor belt and broke, and she had to cancel her honeymoon and stuff like that. And then Vicky actually sent me a article last night about a person on People, that was in People magazine, a disabled person. I don't know if you've ever traveled as a wheelchair person. They have these things called aisle seats, which are really tiny and small, like it's like a 4-year-old would fit on it comfortably, I guess. So it's a very scary kind of thing, and you need two people. You need to be strapped into it really well. They didn't strap this gentleman into it, and they only had one person, and he fell, and he actually passed away. So, air travel is really horrible for disabled people, especially wheelchair users. Doctor visits, cities, and I say the big question, what would the world feel like, not just function like, if disabled people made the decisions of what we are doing? So, does anybody want to talk about this, or should we give a few minutes and listen to some music and come
Oh,
back?
I
Or
was some ramps are not wheelchair accessible. Like they have like the I forget what's called. They have these things that make it hard to I'm using a knee scooter while I'm recovering from a foot surgery,
Mhm.
and those things on the ramps was like, and I risk falling, and I get scared. And like, what's the ramp for if you're not gonna have smooth, if it's not gonna be smooth?
Yeah, I agree. Sidewalks, ramps, all those things, they're not smooth. Um, yeah, so like, what would you suggest if I don't know, I feel like things like that are kind of
If
slapped
you're
together.
well,
Go
um
ahead.
if you're blind, well, I don't know how to I don't know how to I go by person first, just because of my
Yeah, that's fine.
personal background. I don't know people who are experiencing blindness. I mean, if they need a ramp, but I believe that they don't need one, and then they should have that for people who they should have it, the ramp smooth for people who actually do need ramps.
Are you talking about the bumps at the end of ramps? Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about? Yeah, they, um, the reason those because I actually don't like the bumps either because I have chronic pain and they hurt me. But but basically that's just to let a blind person know that it's the end of the road sidewalk. I'm not sure. I just think it's just to let blind people know that this is the end of the sidewalk. So that's why those bumps exist. I didn't
It
really
should
know
at
that
least have
either.
another. It should at least have another ramp that has smooth edges.
Yeah, I agree with that because I yeah, it triggers my pain, so
And it's hard to.
um
It triggers me risking falling while I'm recovering from my surgery. It's even worse when I use my crutches.
yeah, I know. I don't know what to say because this is like they create a curb cut and then they're like they want to make it for every disability, so that's how that works. So
Mm.
yeah, I understand. I don't like it either, but I also don't want a blind person to walk out into the street. So,
Yeah.
so I'm just like, all right, I guess I got to deal with this.
Yeah.
So, um, anyone else?
Well, are you selling one? Because maybe we'll just return this piece.
Is anyone else want to talk or no? That's cool. All right. Um, oh, go ahead. Nanette app is, oh, I'm sorry. I can't even read. Appen.
Hey,
Is it
that's all
Appen?
right.
Oh,
Harpin.
that's cool. Oh,
And
cool.
I was wondering, are we on to the doctor visits question yet?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not a
Okay.
question, it's suggestions, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I wanted to talk about that because that's what I have the most experience in as a disabled, chronically ill woman. And
Mhm.
I think what care would feel like if it was built around us would be listening to us, a lot more training in listening,
Mhm.
neurodivergence training, the way I've seen autistic and ADHD and other neurodivergent people dismissed and not understood or have their conditions minimized is a huge problem. So I think there should be better training for that. Accessibility, surprisingly, I've gone to a lot of doctor's appointments where doors didn't have the accessible button in like 99% of the doors. And places are blocked, there's construction, and elevators are out, and they're out for weeks or months. And it's just like we're not prioritized. Training for mobility needs, I think, would be a higher priority um, because I've had people not know what to do with me when I come in a wheelchair and there's stuff blocking at all the paths that I need. Training for complex chronic illness and rare diseases. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is probably more common than is currently thought. But a lot of patients in my community have had doctors where they just don't know much about it other than that it's a connective tissue disorder. They don't know that there's so many comorbidities that come along with it that all connect together. And then training for different body sizes. I've seen a lot of people in my community dismissed due to their larger body size or even thinner body size, assume that they have something that they don't have, being misdiagnosed. Um, and I think, especially with complex chronic illness, a lot of us go misdiagnosed because of the way that we appear and the way that our bodies are shaped. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you so much. I I understand completely what you mean. I actually wrote a zine because we did lived through Hurricane Helene here, and it was really, it was really bad. But then I compared it to getting a pap smear at an inaccessible table. I was like, so I call that zine the disaster lifestyle. So yeah, I totally get that. It's like doctors' offices are inaccessible. So I feel like if we were imagining it from a disabled perspective, then, you know, universal design for a lobby of a doctor's office. Um,
And then I hate to
tables that
interrupt.
are, tables that are low enough or accessible enough for a disabled person to transfer onto it. Different things like that. So, yeah, doctor's offices are horribly inaccessible, and I guess we can call it ableist as well. Julie, go ahead.
It's Julia, but
Julia, I'm sorry.
that's okay. Well, yeah, yeah, pap smears. Like with pap smears, doctors don't have the option of putting their patients under for that, and they really need that for like autism or something like that. Like if you're really sensitive to pain, so yeah, they really need that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just reading messages. Yeah, like for me, getting the pap smear was like horrible because I'm paralyzed. So they put my it was just bizarre because they put my legs up. They didn't have me take my pants off and stuff. They were just like, "Oh, this table's inaccessible." Then I got on it. They helped me on it, and then they put my legs up in the stirrups and my pants were hanging out. And then they were like, "Move closer to the end of the table." I'm like, "What? Are you kidding?" It's like I'm paralyzed, so I'm always like trying to figure out how not to fall off of a table. So like when they're like when your legs are up in the stern, they're like, move to closer to the end of the table. I'm like, oh no, you're scaring me. And they're like, oh, we can hold you up. And I'm like, what? You're not. I don't know. There's two, not that I don't think women can hold up things, but these women weren't like, they're not bodybuilders or working out people. They're medical people. So, I'm a heavy person. If I happen to fall off the table, I don't not trust that they would be able to not make me fall, basically. Um, so yeah, uh, medical situations, which is annoying because it's like it seems weird because as disabled people, we do use the medical system a lot, and I don't understand why it's so inaccessible. Jillian, go ahead.
Hi everyone. My name's Jillian. I am blind, low vision, and also a chronic illness. I appreciated everything that Annette said about living her experience. The one thing I also wanted to dovetail onto that was the experience with having a rare chronic illness and managing an insurance company, and especially with some of these insurance companies adopting AI models to deny claims can just be incredibly overwhelming when you're dealing with a chronic illness that's overwhelming in itself. So, my dream would be a world where insurance was just geared towards people that have chronic illness and don't subscribe to the mainstream, medical diagnoses and treatment plans.
I'm so sorry. I have heard what you said,
Oh.
Jillian. Sorry, I'm just dealing with these texts. This is just like how we're organizing the event. Um, so I didn't hear what you said, but you don't have to repeat it. But thank you for sharing
Mhm.
what you said. Um, yeah. So yeah, Nanette, go ahead. Oh, Nanette, I think we have to unmute you. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I agree. Jillian, thank you. I also have had so many struggles with insurance myself, being on Medicaid and with the cuts being threatened and all the political stuff going on right now, with it's just making the government and insurance just so chaotic right now. And the thing I wanted to mention, uh, I'm not low vision. I do have light sensitivity, so I often use technology to um, like voiceover and screen readers, so I can sympathize with some of the issues that you face, uh, and the accessibility with insurance is just insane right now. I mean, um, the delays that I faced delays in treatment that had me stop a treatment that I was on for years. They were like allergy shots, and they were very crucial to my um, immune system, because I was reacting to everything and they helped. And insurance wanted another prior authorization because the previous one expired. And I was waiting months and months to hear back from them for the submitted prior authorization. And I went months without treatment because of that, and I was having more symptoms. Um, and it was in the form of like snail mail, of what I was getting back, and sometimes that wasn't accessible to me because of my light sensitivity. So there's just so many things that insurance companies don't even consider with accessibility needs, that they need to have more disability consultants and people who really intimately work with disabled people to know the nuances like that. And I kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Abby Metcalf, go ahead, but I'm going to ask you to keep it to 2 minutes because we're kind of running late now. So go ahead.
Hi. So I was just thinking a lot. I also have a physical disability and chronic illness. I'm also a board certified music therapist and composer. And so I work a lot with people with disabilities also. But something I consider a lot is just how I don't think able bodied people can imagine how easy it is for us to adapt, and like we think about how to problem solve right away, but from a different perspective it's like, oh, you can't, obviously you can't do that because you can't walk, or like even Galen's like playing violin, I thought it was awesome, and that's something I'm sure a lot of people would not consider as even possible. Something I have experienced more is like job accommodations, and people asking me like, is it possible for me to do whatever it is that I do? So for example, I have to carry a lot of instruments around for my job, but I find ways of adapting easily, especially with my cane and things too. So but I've, especially when I was in my internship and having more health problems come up, they were not very accommodating, and I really had to sit down with my supervisor and say like, okay, these are the symptoms that I experienced that might make it not super easy to do the job, and something as easy as like getting a collapsible stool with me so I don't have to stand the whole time is super helpful. So I think it's just frustrating for sure to see the lack of trying to understand, but I also think if people if you don't see as many people out in the world with disabilities, it's hard for you also to understand how you might be able to adapt. And I hope like there is more, becomes more of an accessible world, because I think we're really great at problem solving and coming up with new ideas. So I it's frustrating for sure. I'm sure everyone is feeling it too, but yeah.
Yeah. It is. I don't know how to reply. All of you are saying things I feel already, so I'm just like, I don't know if I can add to this. So thank you so much, Abby. It is very frustrating. It's like you always do your inner eye roll, like when non-disabled people say things to you, you're like, okay. Um, so uh, okay, so I'm gonna move to this next section. Basically, I just want to tell all of y'all about upcoming events that we're gonna have going. I have a little slide, so I want to show you that slide. Let me find that. What is that? Where is that? Okay, here we go. Let me just find this slide, and it'll just be a second. Okay, there we go. Um, oh, all right, yay. I'm doing so good at guessing a slide and finding it. It's like uh the cards are aligning for slides. Okay. So, um so these are the upcoming events. We have Francis talked about it. We have a Skillshare on April 23rd. It's an event for disabled artists to learn how to make portfolios, resumes, artist statements, and it will be led by Francis. Then on May 1st, we're going to do a virtual May Day. And I'm excited because I literally had a week because I don't know if you weren't at the beginning. I was just like, oh, 16 people are coming. We'll just hang out. We'll be like, this sucks, that sucks, whatever. And then Helen reached out and then the event got really huge. And I was like, oh my God, I have to, make an event and ask people to speak and stuff. So we're literally threw this together in a week, which not by myself, with everybody doing everything. And so it was really great. And that's why I really like organizing disability events, because you really see people working together to make things happen, and it's really makes you feel good. Okay, so that's what we'll do for May 1st for virtual May Day. And then on May 28th, I'm going to do an event about menopause, because I listened to this podcast called Menopunks, and I started listening to it, and I started listening to women talk about their experiences in the medical world with menopause. And I'm like, this sounds exactly like disabled people. So I actually did write a zine because I was kind of thinking, should I write the zine? So I wrote a zine called Is Menopause a Chronic Illness? And kind of just talking about the medical experience of disability and how women are in the same world essentially, because not that much is known about it, and doctors accuse you of lying and not imagining your things, just like disabled people. So I really wanted to do that, so that's what I'm going to do. um and I do want to let all of y'all know I'm going to share another slide that has, let me actually go find it first. That Can you move over there? Yes, you can. And let's see. And so I'm going to share this link tree that has all the websites. It'll have my web address. It'll have how you can donate. It'll have my email link. It'll have the YouTube channel. And it will also have that website to drefd.org, where you can find out about things that are happening legally happening that will impact disabled people's lives. So take a picture of the screen or screenshot it, whatever you want to do, or if you go to my Instagram, you can find the link tree there. And I should put my link tree on my website, or if you go to DIYabled.com, you can, you should find more information, but not as much as I should be putting. Uh, I'll tell you, I'm not good at updating my website. But I should do that. But if anyone wants to volunteer to help me, please reach out. Okay, so this next section, I wanted to do like an open share because I know a lot of people that write poetry and make art and stuff. I did see, I don't know, I see Ashley, like you can do it, and I did see Renee. I don't know if Renee is still here, but Renee wrote some poems, and I encouraged her to share it. She was shy, but I was like, no, you have to share them, and so I do want to invite. Oh, I see you, Renee. I see you waving. So I did want to invite them to talk about whatever they wanted to talk about, and if anybody else also has any art or writing or anything they want to share, please raise your hand or write it in the chat. But Renee.
I play the flute. I don't have it with me, but it's in my room. But yeah, I play the flute.
Oh, well, we'll have to do like a art. I do a disability pride
mic.
art show every year, so you should play your flute and you
Yeah,
should,
an open mic.
yeah, an open mic. We could do it. I mean, I do so much, so I'm like, I don't know how to do open mics, but I'm willing to try but I do disability pride, and it's just more like people showing art, reading poems, writing, playing music. So yeah, that'd be great. So, we should definitely keep in touch. Um, Harrison, did you want to read a poem or something? But I'm going to let Renee go first because I called on her, but then you can go after if you want. But let's unmute. Oh, okay, Renee, you're unmuted. I'm going to spotlight you, Renee.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I've never
Okay.
done anything like this before, but since the group has dwindled, this is probably a good time. It's called A Flower in October, and really, I think of so many people that I met through the disability movement. And so there you go. You caught me by surprise as I rode by the fence that you lean on, curled and twisted as if you didn't know which side you belonged on. Your strength amazed me with beautiful red-orange petals, beautiful with a golden inside that ran deep roots to the long-forgotten wellspring of our lives. You seemed impervious to the cowboy boots and high heels that rushed by in their arrogance. I stopped because, well, you are my hero. You can laugh at winter's inevitable shadow, pressing down hard on us. You dare the impending low clouds to cover you. I want to be your friend. Even if they don't see your beauty, I see you. Even if they are blind to your deep, strong roots, I bow to your wisdom. The cowboy boots will try to mow you down. The high heels will ignore you. But you are defiant and hold fast to the vision of a warm summer embrace. If only I could be like you. That's the end of that. It's funny. I have two more if you're bored, but I don't think you're bored. I think people want to go home. I can't read it. Priya, you
Oh
can't.
yeah. Oh, it's okay. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to unmute myself. There is a poem in here which I'm happy to read, but I think Harrison wants to share something, so I'm gonna call on Harrison.
Hello. Well, there's a couple of things. I've been participating in a Stafford project, which is a write a poem every day. Wanted to thank you for doing this. It's been really been cool to see all of these efforts in the disability community and all these new opportunities to get involved. I'm a part of a small small community that supports uh, people with disabilities. So there was a poem I was going to read, but I also wanted to share that I actually had just finished last night. I published on the website Medium some information for the No Kings protest today, including this meeting. So I was excuse me.
It's okay. Take your
For
time.
a
Thank you for telling people about this though.
Yeah, I could drop the link for that in the chat if that's helpful, but I was just going to read one of my poems from the Poem a Day thing, and I really look forward to learning more about ways I can be proactive in working with other people and learning from people who have have been able to use their creativity um, to reach other people and to expand their own lives. So I'll just read this short one. The restful body shores up its inner lattice work, cresting calm, realizing relief, memorizing matters beyond belief, so that when dawn comes, it has glimpsed its other face on the inside of your eyelids.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. I am going to, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure if you're done, so I didn't want to interrupt you. So, is there anybody else that wants to share art or, their poems or writing? Oh, let me read this thing in the chat and then, oh, and Ashley, are you raising your hand? Are you? Okay. Okay, let me just read this poem and then we can let Ashley talk and stuff. This is a poem by Jenny Jenny Astra is the name that is attached to it. Born to be, light returns and sees the day. Give truth and come what may. We will weep for those who play, childhood dreams dashed away. The the people speak. Oh, sorry, the screen shifted. The people speak and lies ensue. Robber barons selling news. I am pink, but you say blue. All considered, shame on you. We who are we who are will always be born in form for all to see. How I look just isn't me. Hear our voice, for we are free. Very good. I love that, Jenny. Thank you so much for sharing. And Ashley,
Priya, I'm
Emma
sorry.
also
no, go
wrote
ahead.
something.
There's a I don't know if somebody's read it already. From Emma, there's a poem in the chat. It's actually
Okay.
really nice if you'd like to read it.
Yeah, I'm gonna find that and then I'm gonna let Ashley talk while I find that. Thank you so much for letting me know,
You're
Lisa.
welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. Hello, my name's Ashley. I'm an artist working in just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. I met Priya a while ago. We've been working together. Um, I'm here with my service dogs, retired service dog Rosie, and my current service dog Rico. And I don't know if I can screen share.
Yeah, I think you can.
Oh, there, right there. Okay. Um, can you see it?
No, not yet.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry. There. Can
There.
you?
It says Ashley is screen sharing. Yay, there. Yes,
Did it
we
work?
can see it.
So I make work about my chronic illness journey with chronic illness. I have ME/CFS, multiple invisible chronic illnesses, ME/CFS, fibro, gastroparesis, and a kidney disease, and among other things. And I make a lot of paintings about living with these conditions and navigating the healthcare um, industry and surviving it. Um, and so these are just some of my paintings. Um, and thought I'd just share some of that. I've worked with Priya a couple times, and we're currently collaborating. And I'm really excited to be uh, wor wor working with her and communicating with all of you. So just scroll through some of these. And all of these are about 18 by 24, so they're pretty large. And I just had a show at USC Keck Medical Center in LA. So, and a lot of them involve my service dog because we're attached at the hip. So and that's Rico. And I think I have one of Rosie a little further down from here. But I don't want to take up too much time, so that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I love Ashley's work. And Ashley, me and Francis are gonna have a art show in June to get like an in-person art show, and I'm excited about that.
I'm very excited about that.
Me too. So yeah, and if you're on the email list, you'll find out about it. Okay, I see Dana Pittman has raised her hand, and I'm guessing you want to share some art or something, but I'm gonna read the Emma's poem in the chat, and then we can go to Dana. Oh, I was about to have a road meet, and I was like, I can't talk right now, Priya. But Priya, darling. And I was like, what? Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. That was just her messaging me. So this is Emma's poem. You are strong. You are beautiful. You are capable. You are smart. You are not a B word, even if people say you are. You are patient, even if it's clearly a waste of time. You are brave, sometimes too brave. You are organized, at least in theory. You are a victim, but you are resilient. Keep fighting, keep questioning. Oh no, it totally disappeared. I get, oh wait, okay. It's okay. It came back. You are oh man, I was doing so good reading it. You are brave. You are oh yeah, you are a victim, but you are resilient. Keep fighting, keep fighting, keep questioning, keep laughing, keep rolling your eyes. We are a community. We are the change. And then hashtag no kings, hashtag we loved disability. Thank you so much. That's such a great poem. Thank you. Let's give Emma a clap. I don't know if Emma's still here, but yay, so great. Okay, Dana, let oh, you are muted. Go ahead and
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I've never used the speaking part of my video conferencing monitor before. So anyway, um, I'm 81 years old and have some, I'm not disabled. I just have some things are getting a little tough as far as balance is concerned and walking sometimes. And so I didn't make it out to one of the No Kings rallies today. I saw your video, so I decided I'd join it as my contribution to No Kings today. And I want to thank you. It's been tremendously informative, and I am so empathetic, well, becoming more empathetic to the situation that disabled people experience in this unkind world. But I did want to pass on a couple of things. Um, Given my age, it is becoming very disconcerting when there are not ramps and not having automatic doors. So even for just regular people trying to negotiate this world, it's not friendly. And so I can imagine how many hundreds of times worse it is for anybody that is dependent, truly dependent on those facilities. Two things. The GYN's office, when they ask you to slide to the end of the table, that's disconcerting for everybody. So I can imagine how much worse. And also, my vet has this table that for large dogs, he can lower the table to the ground, the dog gets on, and then he can raise the table. If the dog gets that privilege, I don't understand why that kind of arrangement can't be available for human beings when they go to the doctor, and particularly the GYN. So we have a long way to go in this world. And hats off to all of you and your contributions. And this has been tremendously informative. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dana. And I just wanted to say something like you're 81, you don't consider yourself disabled, which is great because I think you kind of get around the world the way you can and don't find barriers. But like I'm saying, if we think about disability when we're building our cities, then guess what? The ramps are going to be there for when you get older, when you're having a harder time walking upstairs or walking up a hill or whatever you need the ramp for. So, that's what I always say. Disability is a human experience, and whether you're severely disabled, like I am, using a wheelchair, or you trying to just get through life because you're older and things are a little tougher, it's all part of the experience. So thank you so much for sharing that. So yeah, y'all, thank you so much. This was so great and very exciting. And we are going to do another one on May Day, and I'm very excited. Um, so yeah, if you go to my link tree and you can find all the information of how to sign up to the email list or how to donate or how to volunteer, all of those wonderful things. And I'm just going to I tried to, so I'm going to play this Bette Midler song that I know has gone viral, but I think it's great. She's did a Woody Guthrie song, so I'm going to play it. I don't have the video, but um, YouTube protects things because Bette Midler's famous. Yeah. And so yeah, so I want to thank, I already mentioned this before, but I didn't do this alone. I did it with everyone, and so I just love seeing people come together, and I feel the disability community can show the rest of the world how the world should be. We do things together. We don't do things alone. So just remember that disabled people are people. We will always, disability is part of the human experience, and we will always, always fight for what we need. We'll never give that up. So thank y'all for coming. And I'm going to share this song. And yeah, y'all can. Oh, yeah, can I share? Oh, no. Oh, what's that? Oh, all right. We'll look at Galen Lee while we listen to this.
You know, I've been around a long time, but I've never lived through what we're living through now. The great Woody Guthrie wrote this song many years ago. I changed some of the words to fit our times, and I hope you'll sing it when you're marching, because sometimes you just gotta sing out. All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. I said, all you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. Hey there, all you fascists. Let me put you straight. When you come for the rest of us, we'll fight you at the gate, and you will lose. You fascists bound to lose. We'll battleize together until they cut and run, just like in Minneapolis. And when the midterms come, you're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. I said, all you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. To hell with all the cowards who hide behind their masks. We're gonna win the midterms. We're coming for his ass. He knows it too. That bastard's bound to lose. Trying to distract us from the Epstein files. You gas and beat and murder us, protecting pedophiles. Let's turn the screws. You perps are bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. Mister, all you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. America, get ready. Midterms are at hand. We gotta stick together, folks, and vote to save this land. It's time to choose. Those fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. Hear that? All you fascists bound to lose. Yes, sir. All you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. Say what? Everybody say. All you fascists bound to lose. I said, all you fascists bound to lose. Yes, sir. All you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.
Awesome. Thank you, Bette Midler. All right, y'all. I'm going to end this meeting. Thanks so much for being a part of this. I love all of you, and I love the 77 people that stuck around. So thanks so much, and have a good night, y'all.